Hi, my name is William Michael Forbes. I am a spiritual medium and an intuitive life coach, and I channel entities from different dimensions. I also speak with Archangel Michael, Master Jesus, Buddha, Lao Tzu, Kuan Yin, and many others that come to me with inspirational messages and ideas. This has happened for many, many years, where information just flows through. I used to think it was just me, then I began to actually feel and hear and know the presence of these beings as they came to me. And there's a group that comes to me occasionally called the Divine Council of Light. And they've asked me to bring forth a message on explaining the relationship between ascension and channeling, why those two are interrelated, and why those two functions and processes are very important to the evolution of humanity. And so we'll get into that right away. One of the things they've been saying is that the ascension process is the alteration in human consciousness from a polarity of fear to an expression and expansion and polarity of love. They're saying that these shifts and changes are natural for every organism through the consciousness continuum and spectrum. All life grows, evolves, and changes. When you reach a point where you are in a reasoning body, that is a body that can appraise and identify its own experiences and make adjustments within the system by choice and by will, then that individual consciousness can evolve itself. It becomes self-evolving. This is what the ascension process is, where the consciousness of an individual, a group of individuals, or even an entire species becomes consciously self-evolving, where you can identify the causes and effects of your actions and make changes to improve the quality and expression of your life. We've come here specifically to help you understand what is the relationship between this evolution in consciousness among the human family. And we stress that it is a human family, that there is no separateness to the human family. While there are different individual expressions, different cultural expressions, different sexual expressions, it is still one family that is in a process of deliberately self-evolving. And we want to be very clear on that point. Now, as this self-evolution occurs, several things unfold. One, the physical expression begins to quickly manifest the qualities of the consciousness that the individual or group of individuals predominantly focuses upon. That is, if your conditions of experience in the physical realm become more positive, then your focus and expression of energy and consciousness is more positive. If it is more negative, then that is a negative expression of that consciousness. In other words, a devolution. But even the things that take you backwards will take you forward, because pain can only be tolerated so long before you're then required to make a change on some level. If not on the individual level, then it will be on the group level or the collective level overall, which generally speaking it is. Now, what is the relationship between this ascension process and channeling? As your vibrational frequencies move from fear to love, you no longer are pursued or connected to negative consciousnesses, expressions of fear, guilt, shame, pain, anger, any negative expression which does attract beings, consciousnesses on non-physical planes that are of those vibrations into your experience. But equally so in the ascension process, as you rise up in consciousness, expand your expressions of love and interconnectedness with humanity for the good of self and the good of all, then you will begin to tune into or connect to beings that are on higher frequencies of what we call love, or degrees of love. So if you reach a level of consciousness where your state of being in love is that of bliss and joy and happiness, then you will connect to those individuals energetically that can communicate frequencies of that nature to you, such as love, joy, bliss, happiness, quantum living, interdimensional consciousness. All of these frequencies begin to become available to you on a positive framework, just as they can become available to you on a negative framework. But ascension is predominantly about the movement towards that positive expression and evolution of the individual, the group, or the collective consciousness. Now, as one's consciousness rises up in frequency and they begin to get inspirations and ideas and new information, many of them think that this information is just randomly given to them. It is not. Information that comes to you is specifically in harmony with the frequency that you've attained, and that the information that was always on that frequency, you suddenly become aware of it. And then the beings that manage and maintain and evolve that information will pass it on to you. They'll hand it off to you, as it were. You can actually ask for more information. You can actually ask us for more information, and allow yourself to expand and grow and evolve according to what you begin to ask for in terms of information. You can then call upon ascended beings such as Master Jesus, or Buddha, or Kuan Yin, or Joan of Arc, many others on this earthly plane that have evolved, ascended to a higher state of consciousness. Many of these beings await your awareness connecting to theirs so that they can assist you in pulling you up the ladder, so to speak, of consciousness. So as you begin to receive new information and messages, be open and willing to share them. Be open and willing to share them, even if they may seem strange or unusual or different to your mind. As long as the expression of the information improves and enhances the expressions of love and joy in your experience and that of those around you and the collective consciousness, then rest assured you're getting information that is in harmony with the ascension process as we understand it to be. Each mechanism, each individual, has a different level of frequency that's unique to itself, but there are certain commonalities with which your information will reach out and connect to those that are in harmony with that frequency as well. The process of channeling is your ability to recognize information that's outside the frame of reference of what you commonly know, and be willing to take that information and communicate it to others, enabling them to move to that frequency of consciousness so that they too may begin to bring in higher frequencies of energy into the collective humanity that you currently are part of. The evolution and expansion of the collective consciousness of humanity as a unified whole will ultimately result in a harmonious material expression both in the physical earth as well as in the material experiences of individuals, as well as the planetary and solar evolutionary processes, because none of these things are separate. You are not separate from the air you are breathing. You are not separate from the food that you eat. You are not separate from the people you pass on the street. And as you begin to recognize when you're in this ascension process deliberately and intelligently, then you can begin to raise the consciousness of those up around you. Just by raising your own, you radiate a frequency of change that attracts and induces people into that vibration also. One need not speak to force change. One must merely feel the intensity of that change, and that in and of itself will begin to affect changes around you. Because we know that there are many of you in situations and circumstances where the people around you look at you in wonder and strangeness and frustration and fear. And we would not encourage you to bring more of that forth into your life, but rather sit into the love and the joy and the bliss of the vibrational frequencies of love that you cultivate, and allow that energy to passively work for you as you go about your day-to-day business. It is the frequency that you hold, that you radiate, that induces the changes in your material world and indeed in your relationships. We also encourage that as you begin to raise your frequency up, as you continue in this deliberate process of ascension, and you begin to receive information, there's a process that is called channeling, that many people know, many people practice, and this is the medium, the mechanism that we will be using to communicate to all the vibrational frequencies for those that are willing to hear it, are ready to be raised up to it, and are ready to incorporate it into their lives. So we and many others are waiting in the wings, so to speak, to pass on to you information and communication that is vital for the overall expressions of love, peace, harmony on this planet for all humanity. There is no confusion when you begin to understand how you use energy and how you use vibration and how to use information correctly. You cannot confront people with your truth when they are living in a lie, for they will think that you are attacking them. But you can live in your truth, and the being in that truth will affect a change in them whether they're conscious of it or not. Much the same way as you can listen to a radio song playing And before you know it, your feet are tapping and your hands are moving and you're humming or singing the song, because the song didn't make you do that. It just played its music. And you fell into harmony with it. Vibration that you resonate, that you put out from your being, your physical being, from your mental being, the vibrational frequencies that you put out in and of themselves will affect change in your immediate experience and in the experience around you. In the next video that we will present through this one, we will be presenting specific information on the practice of channeling, what it means and how it functions. What an individual that begins to receive these higher vibrational ideas and inspirations and information, what do they do? How do they begin to transmit this information without being encumbered by fear or guilt or uncertainty or self-mistrust? Because many of you that become these awakened and aware beings have a difficult time trusting the information that you receive and then trusting further to put it out. And then there's many others of you that receive this information and it gets twisted based on what you think the information means rather than what the information actually is. So there is a process that you need to understand if you choose to open up to these higher frequencies and begin to share them. For there are many, many beings on this planet right now, billions of individuals on this planet that are at the brink of awakening to higher spiritual energies. And it is important that the more people that step into that and embrace it and share it energetically, if only energetically, that we can affect much greater change in the ascension process for humanity as a whole. So we invite you to come forth to our next video and understand this thing called channeling in a new light and its relationship to the ascension process. We honor you, love you, and appreciate you with our hearts. We will speak through this one as many others do. Okay. And they're stepping back now because I'm going to do my little pitch. So if you've liked what, thank you. They're just saying much love to all of you. Our hearts are with you. This is a great time for humanity. It is important you understand intellectually as well as in feeling the truth of what we say, so that you may embrace the fullness of your power and spirit and your reason for being in this physical reality at this time. That is all. Wow, I had no idea they were going to go into all that. They just told me they wanted to do a series of videos on the ascension process and channeling. And I guess now we'll know what the next one is about, channeling specifically, and how it relates to the ascension process. If you haven't, excuse me, if you have enjoyed this message, okay, they're asking me to say, learn to be still. Learn to be still so that you may hear that which is being spoken to you now. Learn to be still so that you may hear that which is being spoken to you now as a feeling or an idea. And we will see you again. Thank you. If you enjoyed this video, please like it and subscribe to my channel. Much love to all of you, and again, thank you for taking the time and joining us. Much love.